Chinese honeypot agent Christine Feng makes public appearance again. She sat down with top CCP barking dog Hu Xijin, claiming she was threatened by the CIA and FBI trying to turn her into a secret agent, to work for them or to be destroyed. Now the CCP propagandist is trying to whitewash her story. And why is she suddenly active on Facebook and Twitter again? This comes as Trump, according to the Reuters report, launched a covert CIA operation on China's social media to spread CCP secrets. Is there a spy war in the dark? And a custom and border agent with a Chinese accent tried to stop an American from coming home. And this happened at the Chicago O'Hare Airport. Let me talk about what that means. Welcome to China Insider. I'm David Zhang. As you can see, I have a temporary location set up, but the stories we're going to talk about today focuses on the increasing levels of the Chinese Communist Party's overseas policing and infiltration, and things are getting so crazy. Now, first we're going to cover a story that recently happened at the Chicago O'Hare Airport. Teresa Du, a native Texan, was questioned at the border and customs stop about her religion and her identity as an American. The officer who gave her trouble had a Chinese accent, as she recalled. The officer, who was not named, questioned Teresa's identity, saying things like, they're Falun Gong, they're engaging in politics, they're illegal. The they that they're here referring to is Miss Du, of course, Teresa Du, and her Shenyun Performing Arts troupe coming back from Europe. Now, Miss Du said that the man said multiple times that using the same words, and it created a hostile atmosphere among the other border agents who are also processing members of the performing arts troupe. Teresa is a tour manager for Shenyun Performing Arts, one of the companies that recently was touring Europe, and they just flew back to the United States. And of course, Shenyun is a US-based nonprofit. Teresa is an American born in Texas with an American passport. The company returning to the US is getting ready for their next leg of the tour, which is in Illinois. Now, Shenyun is a classical Chinese dance performance featuring the traditional Chinese culture from China that's before communism destroyed all of it under the CCP. And the mission here is to revive that traditional culture with the performances on stage. And of course, Falun Gong, which many of the Shenyun performers actually practice, is a spiritual exercise that started in China in 1992, and it's been persecuted by the regime since 1999. Many of the dancers and performers actually fled China and fled communism, and their common mission is really to revive the culture before all that was destroyed by the Chinese Communist Party. Now, the officer also leveled the accusation that somehow Falun Gong is engaging in politics. Now, just in the United States, every person that is American, such as Teresa, they have the right to engage in politics, such as vote for whoever they want or run for office if they choose to do. That is a fundamental right in America. Now, guess which country around the world that is illegal to actually engage in politics? Well, it is Communist China. So none of which the accusations are actually true. So nothing here is illegal. Whether that's the organization, the practice, none of it is illegal by the actual definition of law. However, the impression that Teresa got, as she recalled, left by the officer was that he was born in China. He had a Chinese accent, which means that he likely, to me at least, the interpretation is that he immigrated to the United States, obtained a US citizenship, and then got a job with CBP. Of course, to be a CBP officer, you need to be an American. Things get even weirder, right? The officer started to converse to her in Chinese, which is not an official US language, and that alone is already very interesting. Now, CBP alleges that they do not discriminate based on race or religion, and this is according to information released by their spokesperson. So the question becomes, what legal jurisdiction does the officer have to stop and question Teresa's race and religion, as well her identity as an American person? So it sounds to me he had a special hatred towards Shenyun as well as Falun Gong. And that's where the question becomes, where does that stem from? Of course, that alone is already a discrimination against religion itself. Of course, in the end, Teresa was allowed to go back to her own country, but not before she was questioned by other custom officers who, again, was influenced by this particular officer. Now, here's where I think things get even more suspicious. To be a citizen of the United States, you swear allegiance to the flag to serve and protect, especially as a CBP officer, to protect against threats, foreign and domestic, right? So that part, you swear allegiance to the flag to protect the interest of the United States and the Constitution, of course. But everything that's been demonstrated by this officer so far suggests that he seems to be swearing or believing in the legality of the Chinese Communist Party, which is the only country around the world where Shenyun's not allowed to perform in and where Falun Gong is outlawed, whereas all the other countries, they're not illegal. So also consider this, right? In recent episode, we covered how two Chinese agents from California flew all the way to the New York State to try to sabotage organizations put up by Falun Gong or Shenyun. And in reality, what they were trying to do was bribe an IRS official who was actually undercover, an FBI undercover agent. And so that was foiled, and they've been charged and arrested. So this is not the first time that the CCP has used agents in the United States to try to attack and infiltrate Falun Gong organizations. Now, the Epoch Times has repeatedly reported on this as well. Shenyang Performing Arts is a number one priority target for the CCP's attacks and their overseas operations, of course. In the documents that they were able to obtain, it says that we must systematically and strategically attack the headquarters and bases of Falun Gong overseas. So the question for me is, does this particular officer swear allegiance to the Chinese Communist Party and the ideology in which would actually validate all the claims that he put up? Or does he still swear allegiance to the American flag in which he must protect the Constitution and not discriminate based on religion or race? So the question for me is, will CBP launch an internal investigation into this matter to determine what cause that a particular officer had for stopping her and basically doing the things that he did? And if he truly is swearing allegiance to America, why was he repeating a lie of the Chinese Communist Party? Now, if we know that the CCP has spies all over the United States, could the opposite be true, that the United States has spies in China? Before we talk about that, here is a segment from Puritan.
If there is one supplement you want to get incorporated into your diet, it's a good omega-3 supplement. It's the best all-around defender for your health. It reduces inflammation, cholesterol, improves eyesight, and reduces risk for heart problems, as well as helps with joint pain, among other benefits. Today, I want to introduce you to Puritan's green vegetables. Puritan gets their ingredients straight from the high mountains of South Korea, and the omega oils are extracted from purslane and perilla seeds. It's 100% vegan. Now, personally, I've been using Omega for about 9 years, close to 10 years now. I've recently switched to Puritan for about a few weeks now. Here's why. We mostly get our Omegas from fish, right? But that's not the best case for everyone, especially there's the aftertaste. It might not be suitable for vegetarians or vegan. So the most important part, right, we often forget is the actual concentration for Omegas. Puritan soft gels have a much higher content for Omega 3, 6, 7, and 9 than many of the brands out there. And some say that they notice there's less hair loss, more energy, lower cholesterol levels, and overall improved health. I think the best part for me is the lack of inflammation or the reduction of inflammation. Other brands also use this high heat method to extract the oil, which in turn creates a lot of harmful byproducts. Puritan's green vegetable is done using a patented method of supercritical carbon dioxide low temperature extraction, so it preserves the natural properties and maintains high purities. First of its kind. So get it for yourself or as a gift to your loved ones ahead of the holiday season. Use my code DZ2023 and you can receive free shipping globally. Check out my link in the description and comment today.
Now, according to an exclusive report by Reuters, Trump authorized the CIA on clandestine operations to influence China's social media narratives in 2019. This operation was crafted by former Deputy National Security Advisor Matt Pottinger. According to Reuters sources, it enabled the CIA to take action not only in China, but also in countries around the world where the United States and China are competing for influence. Basically, what happened was the CIA formed a special task force, very little, of course, that they started to spread disparaging information online in China's social media space using made-up accounts, basically. Now, the source of these information was actually based on real intelligence obtained by the CIA and other agencies, but they were crafted in a way that would actually bring about negative public opinion changes on China's social media. Most of these focused on the top echelon of the CCP elites. Of course, these all included information such as their overseas businesses, dealings, all the money that they saved up, as well as some of the dirty stuff like money laundering, corruption, etc. So CCP bots, I'm not paid by the CIA, no matter how much you want people to think that I am. I actually wish that they paid me millions of dollars to do this, but no, this is not part of that operation to bring down the CCP using public opinion tools or videos like this. So just wanted to clarify that. Now, the effort was to try to sow paranoia among the top leadership in China to try to basically start to investigate themselves to see that who is leaking this information, whether it is true or not. And so we know that Xi Jinping has an ongoing anti-corruption campaign against the top officials across all levels of the party. And so this really added to that level of paranoia. Of course, we know that all CCP officials are corrupt. So it's not like this is some made up information. This is really just authentic information being played around by the CIA. In the words of Reuters, says forcing its government to expend resources chasing intrusions into Beijing's tightly controlled internet. Two former officials said, quote, "We wanted them chasing ghosts." Props for Trump for doing this, but his TikTok stance, flip-flop, by the way, is terrible. Fighting against the CCP's information space has been a grueling experience, considering that they operate a huge amount of internet troll bot accounts, as well as spam accounts across various social media. And so one of the prime example actually is how their officials can use things like Twitter or Facebook to spread their propaganda. Yet the opposite isn't true, right? American diplomats in China, their accounts are restricted often, and they're heavily controlled. I think it created a dent in the Chinese information space because now there's a narrative saying that, oh, those officials, are they truly doing the things that's being spread around online? And no matter what, it's going to warrant a lot of suspicion among the top level of the CCP elites to say that, well, there's somebody out there who is telling them all the truth, and that's bound to scare them. Now, speaking of spying, one prominent spy by the name of Christine Feng, or her Chinese name Feng Feng, has made the headline news again for I don't know what reason, but here's the particular part that's really interesting for me. So she recently sat down with China's top propagandist, the former editor-in-chief for Global Times, Hu Xijin, in which Hu basically tried to whitewash her story that was first published by Axios back in 2020 about how she was really closely in ties with the California's local politicians, including Congressman Eric Swalwell. And the exchanges that's been portrayed by Hu and the interview, which they sat down together, painted another picture in which inadvertently highlighted that Christine Feng may actually be a spy. Since that story broke in 2020, Christine Feng has at least made one trip back to the United States in 2020, November 10th, which she posted on Facebook of the Capitol Rotunda. Now, why does this matter? Well, Christine Feng recently started using Facebook and Twitter again. Now, the earliest update on Facebook for this year was January. And for Twitter, she started to use them again, but her tone on Twitter is very different. So it makes me think that somebody else may be running that particular account. Also, the last post before she disappeared in 2020 again online was the picture of the Capitol Rotunda. So suddenly the top barking dog of the CCP starts to have a whitewashing story about Christine Feng, and it makes me wonder what exactly is the reason for it now. Nobody really cares about her anymore. You got to keep in mind, Facebook and Twitter, they're both banned in China, so the only way for her to access them is through a VPN. But VPNs are illegal in China. So unless you've been granted access to use these Western social media, there is no reason for Feng Feng to actually use them if she's living her life in China. Unless, of course, she has a mission. Now, in the post, Feng alleges that in 2009, she came to the United States to study while promoting the exchanges between the United States and China. Now, this part is already very suspicious because no normal student coming from China works actively to promote U.S.-China engagement at the height of the Obama era, which was, very warm China ties. So immediately this should raise a red flag because where else have we seen somebody like that? Well, in the UK, Christine Lee, who is by the MI5, has been designated as an agent of influence because she had been able to get in reach with the top political circle within the UK. So that means Hu Xijin's interview inadvertently admitted that Feng Feng had a special mission back in 2009 until at least 2015. Now, this is the part where they try to say that she was innocent, right? So in 2015, Feng Feng claimed that she was reached by the FBI and the CIA reached out to her saying that if she does not cooperate with them, essentially becoming a spy for the Americans, that she would be destroyed. Now, upon hearing these words, she fled from the US back to China and claims to have never returned. Now, she claims that the FBI used both coercion and bribery, offering her $1 million and American citizenship as long as she worked with. And her reason for her not doing it was because she didn't want to betray her motherland. Just from the tones in which was described here, it sounds like she was some, former Soviet Union female agent who didn't want to betray Mother Russia type of, vibe that's giving me here. Chances are she was actually a spy and the FBI did talk to her, but for some reason she was allowed to go back to China. Or the other possibility is that she's trying to distance herself from, the investigation by the FBI to protect herself from the CCP. As if you're a spy and then you've been dispatched and now you're returning to China, you basically lost the value in the eyes of the party. So you're, you're going to end up, in jail or disappeared. Who knows what's going to happen to you? And so maybe she's trying to buy herself some safety by trying to distance herself from the FBI approaching her, saying that I'm not a spy. But in the end, this interview with her trying to paint her as not a spy, in my view, is actually making her look more and more like a spy. All right, that's it today for the episode on how there's a secret spy war going on, as well as the particular case in the Customs and Border Officer discriminating against performers from Shenyun. If you enjoy the content, leave a like, comment below your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, bye-bye.